6 of the F1 season brought us to the Hungaroring, but all of the news brought us straight towards Nico Hulkenberg, and it seems that all the chaos in Ferrari really has taken its toll on Nico himself. First of all, Nico Hulkenberg failed to turn up to any of the press conferences he was scheduled to go to yesterday. We have no information on why Nico Hulkenberg did not show up to any of these, but he didn't show up to the standard Thursday press conference that he would do with Ferrari. He didn't speak to any of the media on Thursday. In fact, no one even saw him at the track on Thursday. However, in saying that, he was spotted later this evening. He was talking to Sebastian Vettel, and this is all as tensions at Ferrari rise within the team. Of course, this is not what Ferrari needed. Of course, we remember going back to last year, Ferrari were caught in the middle of a massive crisis because of the management system problem that they had. And obviously, if you're unaware of the management system issue, basically there were hierarchies that demanded that if you were beating Max Verstappen, who was at Ferrari, you're out of the team. Of course, they settled all that, they brought in a new driver lineup, and clearly there is still massive tension, and this time it's between the two drivers. But with everyone seems to be talking towards Nico Hulkenberg, that kind of suggests that is he the victim in every single one of this? Rumours in the paddock are also suggesting that Nico Hulkenberg can't take it anymore. Now, we must stress that when we state can't take it anymore, we're stating with regards to Formula 1. Obviously, stating can't take it anymore is a very strong statement in itself, but we're talking towards Formula 1. And obviously, Tom and many other drivers are backing Nico Hulkenberg and offer the full support towards him. Now, obviously, this is now going to take its toll. We're going to find out in the next race, hopefully, what goes on here. But with everyone now putting all their sympathy and all their heart towards Nico Hulkenberg, why has no one talked to Nico Rosberg? Why is no one saying anything to Rosberg? Why hasn't Rosberg come out and said anything? It's all getting a little bit confusing, and this story really only has just risen up, and it's really taking centre stage over Formula 1, and we need to see where this song goes. To be honest, it looks like Hulkenberg is on his way out of Ferrari. That looks like an essential thing that's going to happen here. Whether he's on his way out of Formula 1, we have no idea. And what is going on with Nico Rosberg as well, we're not sure, because if people are offering all their support towards Hulkenberg, why is no one offering anything towards Nico Rosberg, or is he just not saying anything? We're not sure, but all the news is really centred around Hulkenberg, and concerns go out to him and also to Ferrari. With that being said, we move on to the practice pointers heading into the Hungarian Grand Prix, and McLaren continue to look fast as they aim to win here at the Hungaroring. Of course, McLaren struggled last time we went to quite a high downforce circuit, which was at China, but this time around here in Hungary, not really many issues on that front. They were looking very competitive, and after that dismal performance in France, they're looking to bounce back here nice and quickly. Jaguar are very happy with the new upgrades they put on for the race. The qualifying performance is still not there, they just don't have that one lap pace. However, they've added some more downforce to their car and added a little bit of extra pieces to their barge board and also to their rear wing, and they're working nicely. They're happy with what the performances are, and there's nothing to split the gap between Mercedes and Red Bull in FP1 and FP2. Of course, Mercedes and Red Bull were the clear favourites heading into this Hungarian Grand Prix. However, with Sam's performance, especially in FP2, it's really blown the race wide open. It is expected that Mercedes and Red Bull are going to fight for the win, but make that a five-way fight if you include Sam in there, whose team's been putting on a very strong performance, like we said, in FP2. But let's get into qualifying. Let's get into the race of Hungarian Grand Prix. See how it pans out. Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Fox United here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the F1 Journey for you guys today here on the channel. Today we're here for round number 6, which is the Hungarian Grand Prix. And it's going to be a completely different style of circuit that we've obviously been to in the past 2 races. If you guys do end up enjoying today's video, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe if you're not yet subscribed to the channel already. But moving on then into the Hungarian Grand Prix, and straight away, I knew this was going to be a track that the car would suit, but I wouldn't, if that makes sense. So obviously, our car has got probably one of the best chassis and aero gears out of anybody on the grid, probably matching Red Bull. But in terms of the power unit, we have an awful power unit. So, technically, where power unit doesn't really matter that much, e.g. Hungary, which is just Monaco without the barriers, we should be perfectly fine. But obviously, the Hungarian Grand Prix is not a track, it's a track that I don't enjoy driving. So, yeah, it's not going to be easy at all for us to hook it up, but we'll do what we can. But as you can see, my first 2 attempts there failed to really capitalize on both attempts. Not very good on either try there. So obviously we're stuck in P10. Here you can see now we're currently in P11 and we've gone 7/10 down in the middle sector. Only a 10th up at the moment as we come around the final 2 corners here, take a slightly wider line to try and increase my exit speed. And as you can see, it does actually do quite a good job here as we now get onto the power here. About 2/10 of a second up now on what we have been. And now as we come across the line, it's about 2 and a bit tenths of a second. But it doesn't even propel us that far up the order. It's only going to be P10. So really disappointing qualifying session. And one that we should be doing well at, considering, as you'll see in just a moment, my teammate Reese actually went and stuck it on pole position for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Sam qualifies just 2/10 behind, and then it is both the Red Bulls, and then it is Lando Norris and Rosberg and Hulkenberg doing a great job for Ferrari. And that's been kind of the tale of the season for Ferrari, really. They've been good in qualifying, but in the race, they just slipped down the order. And you can see it sort of then tails off into a bit of a 2x2 behind myself. But it's only going to be 10th on the grid. Not a very good qualifying session. But we just have to work on that and try and improve now. So as you can see for the race, it's going to be a 2-start strategy. So starting on the ultra soft tyres and then going from soft to another set of softs. Probably would have been easier if I started on the softs and did it that way. But we're not on the softs. So we're just going to have to work with what we got. But as you can see then, we got 5 red lights here for the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix, and it is lights out. We go here to start the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's been not the best start though for Reese up front, who's going to probably get overtaken by Sam, and has done off the line as we now go in towards the first corner, and that inside line is very much wide open. So let's go and take some positions there down the inside of a bunch of cars here, and now as you can see, we're side by side now with the Red Bull of George Russell as we go blasting down the straight now in towards turn 2, and we should just get in front of Russell, but we've gone a little bit wide there, and that is going to allow George Russell to come back as we now defend against Nico Rosberg, which we do just that there and stay in front of him. But it is now Sam leads the Grand Prix ahead of Reese, ahead of Pascal Wehrlein, ahead of Russell, and then myself. So some good places gained there as some debris goes off into the background there as we look at Norris now on board with the 2 Audi cars here. Hamilton now gets in front of Sebastian Vettel as they go up in towards the chicane here now. Hamilton should remain there as we actually had a screen freeze and actually had to cut the chicane there, and I took a warning for that. But honestly, it's a screen freeze at the end of the day. It's just prominent in F1 2018, so I'm happy to take a warning for it. And I didn't gain any time, and I didn't lose any time because I gained time. But then obviously, as you can see here, look, you can see we've got Rosberg all over the back of me now. I actually slowed down so Rosberg could get onto the back of my tail again because he was all over the back of me now. But as you can see, coming around the second to last corner, it's a perfect start for Sam. As you can see, we're on board with him now. Rounds the final corner here to complete the first lap of the Grand Prix. He's done what he needed to do off the start. He's in front of Reese, and now he's got the job of trying to stay in front of him and try and build the gap now against Reese. But as you can see, him and the 2 Red Bulls are in hot pursuit as I start to drop back a little bit in the early phases. But hopefully, I can try and catch up as we have a scroll through here. As one of the Audi cars has been overtaken by Daniel Ricciardo, and Ricciardo now on the back of the other Audi car. But meanwhile, back at the front here, Reese now has DRS on Sam. As you can see now, he goes to the outside line. Sam locks up in towards the first corner. So Reese now putting on some pressure here on Sam. So it doesn't look like it's going to be an easy race for Sam. Of course, he has got the best car on the grids. We all can tell that. But Reese is really putting things all his own way at the moment, and he's doing a good job of things. On to lap 5 of the Grand Prix now, and as you can see, I've been slowly but surely dropping back from the top runners, but we are now going to come in for our first stop of the Grand Prix and go on to a set of the soft tyres. And as you can see, we've got Nico Rosberg behind, who's also going to come into the pits, and I presume a bunch others as well. And yeah, you can see there a couple coming in now as we're now going to go on to a set of the soft tyres here. Probably going to get held up by this Audi car of Vettel, and we do annoyingly get held up by the Audi, which is not the best thing for us, but we just have to live with that and carry on our way. As you can see now, as we now head down the pit lane here, and we should hopefully rejoin in a bit of clean air, which if we have a look now, we seem to have done just that. So we've got a little bit of clean air to work with, and hopefully we can potentially jump some cars. Now we've got some clean air. You can see in front of us is the Red Bull of George Russell, but he is far ahead and he's caught up to a lot of traffic. And meanwhile, as you can see here now, we're coming out of the pit lane is Hulkenberg. So Nico Hulkenberg has done a great great in-lap to get in front of myself. My outlap wasn't that competitive now. As you can see, Hulkenberg tries to have a look here. We block off that line. Hulkenberg switches to the inside line, but we defend the track very nicely there, making sure that Hulkenberg has nowhere to go in that scenario. But as you can see, we are closing up to the back markers and all that traffic. But meanwhile, speaking of the traffic, This is how easy Sam was having it in his world, as he now blasts his way through up into the lead of the Grand Prix, and Reese there gets in front, just in front of the Red Bull. But as you can see, look at that. So Sam is in front. Then we've got 1, 2, 3 cars blocking Sam, is blocking Reese from getting to Sam. And meanwhile, onto the back of that, welcome to the Hungarian choo-choo train, where we have got literally the entire grid in a train. To be honest, this looks like the F1 2019 season, to be honest, because they're all just not eligible to overtake and they don't do anything in life. As you can see, though, welcome to the train. Let's see what we can do, though. As we're going towards turn 1, I knew straight away the airs were going to break early, so I'm going to dive it down the inside here, get past Pascal Wehrlein and get past George Russell. Critical to do that as Sam there pulls away now as one of the BMW cars is attacking the Lamborghini of Carlos Sainz there. So that's Nick De Vries now on Sainz. As Nick De Vries doesn't really get that much screen time in the F1 journey, because every time I scroll to him on the cameras, he's not really doing anything, but he is now. He's doing some great fighting here, and as they go up the hill now, Nick De Vries around the outside. Great move there. There's some damage there from another one of the cars that's just come off there now, but Nick is in front. But just look at the amount of cars that are stuck behind all this. Is that, as you can see now, speaking of cars, we're now trying to go around the outside of Reese into the chicane, but I've got to back it off because Reese now dives it in the chicane onto one of the Lamborghini, on the Renault of Ocon there. That's going to be fun. And it seems that every time that we get into a race, it is just my Ocon in there. But just look at everyone. They're all just playing true choo-choo trains. It's ridiculous right now what's going on. Look at all of them. And we try and fly ourselves through now. There is Russell now trying to have a look at myself. Reese goes around the outside of Ocon as well in the midst of all this now. So we pass or manage to stay in front of George Russell, still side by side just, but eventually you can see that we get the inside line to the corner. I sort of put him out to dry. I actually allowed Pascal Wehrlein to pass with that one, so Pascal wasting little time there as we now go wide on the final corner, but it's just to set myself up for a run on Ocon, and that's exactly what it's about now. DRS is wide open here, as now both of the Red Bulls are going to try and attack me, as well as the two the Audi and the Ferrari go side by side as we go down the inside of Esteban Ocon now, and we have a look back at the two cars. It is Nico Hulkenberg and Lewis Hamilton going into battle now, and Hamilton should actually get that move done with DRS there, and Lando Norris is all the way in the back of this. Meanwhile, Sam is way out in front. Onto lap 9 of the Grand Prix now, and we're still trying to navigate all of this crazy traffic, and all the more time that we're doing this, the more that Sam is getting away out front, and that's costing us in this race so far, but there's nothing we can do about it. We just can't overtake around here. Sam got the benefit of just being able to stay out and also make overtakes on the straights a lot easier, as now Reese gets his chance to pass Sergio Perez now in the other Lamborghini car as they go in towards the first corner, and as you can see now, Reese goes down the insides, and that's a nice overtake for him, and that is also with DRS enabled as well. Onto the next part, he can get after Nick De Vries now, whereas for myself, I now have to try and find my own way past Sergio Perez. Speaking of trying to pass him, I try to go around the outside of turn 2. It's not going to work there though, unfortunately, but we continue onwards and trying to press on with him now as we go up the hill towards turn 4. As you can see now, Perez really under pressure. We got much better run through there, and with that being said, I now go round the outside here, all the way around the outside of turn 5. Beautiful move there from myself as Nick De Vries locks up in front of us now, so that's not going to do Nick any good there. Reese now goes on the attack now around the outside in towards the middle sector. This is going to be very close stuff here, but Reese just about gets the position done, and that is Reese into clean air finally. He has got, look at those cars, oh my god, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, Reese has finally got in front of all of the chaotic amount of cars, and now it's my turn to get in front of them. I don't want to be around these cars much longer. I'm going to dive it down the inside of Nick De Vries there, and that is us up into P7 in the Grand Prix. There is 2 Jaguar cars and I believe some Porsche cars to overtake as well, but we should be able to overtake those nice and easily, because I haven't seen any Porsche cars so far in this race. As we now go around the last corner here, and with a gap to myself and Reese is probably about 1.1 seconds, 1.4 seconds actually, but nevertheless, despite the fact that me and Reese actually cleared the traffic, in fact, you can see us there just in front of the traffic, that didn't mean that this amount of choo-choo training cars was going to stay stationed for so long. They were going to go crazy with the DRS on the straights as we now skip forwards with the camera angle there, super time warping speed, and we now go in towards the first corner here, and we've got, first of all, we've got Sainz going on Nick De Vries there. We've got Russell here having a go at Ocon now, and I think Russell's going to get this one done, although Ocon does have DRS now in towards turn 2. Ocon has a slightly better power unit than that Red Red Bull, but in towards turn 2. It's going to be the inside line for George, and he gets the position done. Great overtake there now. As you can see, he now flies on through. Everyone flies on through there, and they now blast it through. You can see we're just all the time just building an advantage here. Speaking of George Russell, he seems to be the next man that's making all of the progress as he goes around the outside of Nick de Vries into the final sector here. Great overtake there from George as he tries to reignite his season. Of course, so far, George Russell has only scored 12 points in this Formula 1 World Championship season. It's been an awful year for George, and he's trying to rectify that, and by getting up the field quickly, it is putting him in a great position. Look at everyone just opening up the DRS, getting all over the place now as George goes in towards the first corner. Would he have a look at the inside of Sergio Perez? Not quite, but meanwhile, Lando Norris, Hamilton, and Pascal Wehrlein are all going into battle, and let's see what they can do then in this mighty scrap. And in fact, Hamilton is okay on that front. Lando Norris, though, is going to get down the inside of Pascal Wehrlein, I think, although Pascal will fend this one off quite heavily here, and he does just that. So good stuff there from Wehrlein, and Norris kind of has to sit back, but up the run towards turn 4, this is where the McLaren power unit really comes into play now. Pascal Wehrlein runs a bit wide, but stays in front, so he'll be okay with that one. Meanwhile, ahead of Pascal Wehrlein is his teammate, and his teammate Russell is now finally clear of the traffic. There is Sergio Perez out of the way, and we're not even in sight at this point. So that's how far away me and Reese have pulled away from this massive queue of cars. The fact is that you can't even see us anymore on those final complex of corners. I don't think you can see us going towards turn 1. We're that far ahead. Meanwhile, though, still carrying on with this fight, you can see that Lewis Hamilton now wants to be the next man to clear all the traffic. He goes towards the outside on Ocon. Ocon tries to defend it, can't do so brilliantly, so he's got to give him some room there on the exit, and he does just that now. In towards this corner now, turn 2. Hamilton goes towards the inside line. This should be his overtake done, and he does just that. Leaves Ocon out to dry on the exit of 2 onto 3, and as they make the run up towards turn 4, Hamilton has a quite clear run on Nick de Vries. Meanwhile, Wehrlein is trying to go to the outside of Ocon, and so does Norris as well. No, Norris doesn't quite make it through. He tried to, but he just couldn't make it stick. And meanwhile, just a little bit further on onto the lap here, Nick de Vries locks up slightly, and Hamilton has to sort of barge his way through here, and he does just that. And you can see now that eventually, after all of the queue of cars start spreading themselves out a little bit, you can see that obviously all the cars are starting to make the overtakes through, but it's just cost us so dearly being stuck in the traffic. The only man that has not been stuck in the traffic here at the Hungary has been Sam. Sure, he's had 2 or 3 cars to overtake, but he's managed to do it without having all this massive train flying on through. So it's literally been overtake one car, whereas for us we've got like 2 or 3 cars in front of us, and we're trying to work on that. On to lap 20 of the Grand Prix though, and for myself, it was kind of just a straightforward stint after we got past all the traffic. I was just sort of managing my own pace and seeing where it got to. Although you can see coming out of the pits is Sam. Reese is going to get in front of him, but of course that does mean, of course, Reese has to stop again. So Sam, as you can see now, rejoins on a fresh set of soft tyres. We're now going on to a set of soft tyres, and honestly, even if I started on the soft tyres and went to the mediums, I probably wouldn't have got any further than I am at the moment. Obviously, Verstappen, you can see, doing a great job in P3, so that kind of shows something there. So maybe starting on the soft tyres and qualifying outside the top 10 would have been better for us, but hindsight is a beautiful and bastardly thing. So that's all we can work by on that. But as you can see now, we've got Antonio Giovinazzi and also Pierre Gasly, both Jaguar cars that we are going to need to get past because they are both on medium tyres going to the end of the Grand Prix. And then obviously we've got to catch up to Verstappen as well. There's a big gap actually. You can see Verstappen up towards turn 4 as we speak, and we're now just going through turn 3. So we've got a long way to go, but we are going to try and make this one stick. As first of all, Giovinazzi needs to get out of my way, which we do just that. And that actually allowed me a little bit of a space gap between myself and Russell. In this second half of the race, it was clear that Reese was quicker than me, and George Russell was quicker than me as well. So I was sort of in a rock and a hard place. I had one car in front of me that was pulling away, and I had one car behind me that was closing the gap. So every little bit of an advantage I could gain would just be a little bit more helpful for myself. So we now go on to the back straight here, opening up the DRS, using all of the tools available to me. It's a new personal best lap for myself as well. And now we go towards the inside line here, in towards the first corner. It's a very straightforward move. I didn't really need to do an ultra dive bomb on it. I was already alongside at that point. and we make ourselves up into P4. And now all we've got to do is chase after Verstappen, get past him, and then that's our podium secured for the Hungarian Grand Prix after starting P10, which is not a bad job in the slightest, but all we need to do is catch Verstappen. He's a long way ahead. Lap 27, we did manage to catch Max Verstappen, but we've got to pass him, and actually Verstappen goes slowly there, and we go around the outside of Verstappen, and I think Max is pulling over what's been a sensational Grand Prix for him. He probably, looking at the gap between myself and Russell, he probably would have got in front of, or maybe could have finished P5, P6, but he's out of the Grand Prix. That's a heartbreaking moment for Verstappen there. He was doing such a great job in the Porsche car, doing what Charles Leclerc has been doing all season long, but it's not paid off for him on that occasion. His car has let him down, and you kind of feel sorry for Max in a way there. And that is all that she wrote of this Grand Prix itself, because Sam comes across the line to win the Hungarian Grand Prix after the disaster of the French Grand Prix. He's come across to win it now. Reese is on his way to finish in second place. He's coming around the final corner now, and I didn't have any pace to catch up to Reese. I backed off. Reese finishes in second place, and Russell did catch up to me in the end. You can see the proxy hour there, a couple of tenths behind, but overall, across the line, it is third place after starting in P10. I'm happy with that. Really solid result. Couldn't have asked for any more. Got a podium, keeping the consistent results, and Mercedes outdoing Red Bull today, which we're all happy about. Hamilton finishing in 6th, both Jaguars with a great result. Charles Leclerc picking up points ahead of Nico Rosberg. But that is it. Let's have a look at the championship standings in the post-race notebook. Let's have a look then at the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships after that race of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Starting off at the top of the championship, we continue to lead the Formula 1 World Championship with 108 points now to my name. We now have a 20-point gap over Pascal Wehrlein, who is on 88 points after we managed to beat him here today. Sam, with his race victory, manages to move up to third in the championship on 68 points and is now in front of my teammate Reese on 63 points. Very close between Sam and Reese in the battle for P3 at the moment in the championship. Sebastian Vettel remains on 51 points, or increases his points tally to 51, as he continues to make a strong outing for Audi. He would be partnered alongside his teammate Lewis Hamilton, but Charles Leclerc actually splits them in the middle. Charles Leclerc on 48 points, Hamilton on 43. Pierre Gasly moves to his highest position so far in the championship, 8th at the moment with 28 points, and then George Russell moves into the top 10 of the championship for the first time since, I think, round number 2. In fact, he moves into the top 10 of the championship with 24 points. Just shows the contrast in the season between Pascal and George. And then Nico Hulkenberg drops down to P10 with 24 points. And don't be surprised to see him out of the top 10 very soon with the way that Ferrari are performing. And then in the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes-Benz now have a commanding lead at the top of the championship. They're on 171 points. Aston Martin, Red Bull Racing are on 102 points. And then it is Audi with 94 points and McLaren with 90. Of course, we've been seeing Red Bull, Audi and McLaren all having their good days, but Mercedes just seem to be there or thereabouts in every single race, and that's what's really paying the dividends for them. Porsche are on 55 points, only a couple of points for them today, but nonetheless, they still make good gains away from Ferrari. But Jaguar did actually close the gap between themselves and Porsche. The Jaguar now on 39 points after claiming 10 points. I believe Porsche only got 2 today. So it's an 8-point deficit going in towards Jaguar's favour. So maybe the ties are turning towards them, as Ferrari are on 27 points and fall even further back now from Porsche and Jaguar. Lamborghini and Renault and BMW all did not score points today. But that being said, let's get into the post-race notebook and let's see what the teams and drivers had to say after round number 6 of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Here is the post-race notebook, then let's see what everyone's got to say. So first of all, McLaren state that justice has been served after victory at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Last time out the French Grand Prix, McLaren should have easily got a 1-2 finish and they blew it with both cars DNFing. But today, they said they got what they deserved, which is the race win. Mercedes are very happy to beat Red Bull after traffic issues. Mercedes claims, especially with Reese nonetheless, that the reason that they failed to win the race today was because they were not eligible to clear the traffic as easily as McLaren. Of course, with McLaren having the best power unit on the grid and Mercedes-Benz having the worst power unit on the grid, Mercedes said that they found it a lot harder to get through the traffic, whereas the likes of Sam, obviously, in his McLaren, had no issues getting past in any part of the track where there was a straight line because it was much easier for them. So the fact that they both managed to finish in front of both Red Bulls was a major positive for them, as of course when we said at the start of the Grand Prix weekend there was nothing to split Mercedes and Red Bull, but obviously on the race where it mattered, Mercedes were just ahead. And Jaguar also delighted with the double points finish. Of course, we stated again at the start of the episode that Jaguar had got a double upgrade on the car with the barge boards and also the rear wing, and they said they were happy with it, and it clearly worked because they managed to get the double points finish. Really solid result for them today, and they're going to be very happy with that points finish. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for round number 6 here at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, feel free to drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well, and we will see you guys next time for round number 7. Until then, guys, take care all. Peace.